You ever had one of those moments where everything just seemed to stand still? Like you could keep that moment framed in your mind forever. Like it was a framed photo that you could pick out and rearrange every little detail of. The low hum of the tires against the asphalt, the droplets of rain on your hood reflecting the headlights of the oncoming traffic, scent of rain lingering on the air, flowing through the open windows. One of those summer nights you just endure more than anything else. I shifted my eyes over to my partner sleeping in the passenger seat, her short yet curly hair dancing in the breeze, her chest rising and dropping in that calm rhythm you would never want to disturb, her belly swollen from the life that is growing inside of her, the perfect little girl that you had planned for. It was going to be our first child. Hopefully not the only child we would have, but it was going to be our first. I blinked, my eyes trailing over towards the oncoming traffic once more. I raised my elbow to let it rest on the frame of the open window. My unbuttoned sleeve danced in the wind while I rested my head against my palm. Isn't it funny that it only takes you closing your eyes for a mere second, and you can turn a moment that is so perfect into something horrible? When I opened them again, we were already halfway into the other lane. I slammed my foot on the brake. My arms stiffened, and every muscle in my body tensed. Then, it was like gravity stopped working. The screeching of the tires and the tearing of metal stopped when we flipped over. I can barely remember a scream coming from my right. I don't know if I produced one myself or if my jaw was clenched too tight. The sounds ebbed out as quickly as they erupted. My head bashed against the erupting airbag, and everything went black. I slipped into a world of darkness and utter silence. I can't say that I remember much from that point. I remember hearing the sirens get louder, and after that, loud voices. Then it was blank once more. It was almost like in the TV shows, where it shows them blinking in and out of consciousness. After that, the next thing I remember is waking up in the hospital bed. The sharp pain of a mangled body piercing my mind, and the bright lights of a hospital room. I don't know when they came in and checked on me, but it wasn't so long after I had woken up. But the grim look on the doctor when he came into my room is something that will forever be etched into my mind. That kind of look that screams that something horrible has happened, and I could already feel the tears begin to swell up behind my eyes. My wife had survived, but they didn't know yet if the baby was alive, or if the crash had robbed us of the most precious thing we hadn't even got to meet yet. From that point, I think time was just strange. I don't know if minutes or hours passed. It was like I was in some kind of haze. I couldn't see my wife, nor would I get any real news until they were certain of the condition of our daughter. Days passed like that. Every time a doctor or nurse came in to check on me, I hailed them with questions which they had no answers to. The best they could give me at the time was, "We are doing everything we can to make sure that your daughter and wife both make it out of this just fine." Well, at least the nurses tried to reassure me. The doctor said little to nothing about their condition. He was there to check up on my condition, and I knew that was his job. But it made me want to tear his eyes out. It really did. I persisted in asking until I got a proper answer. One of the staff members came into my room sometime after noon. I tried my best to get on my feet to greet him, but when I saw the grim expression glued to his face, it was like my body and my heart just sank through the floor. I fell backwards onto the bed, barely able to hold my composure. He did a good job with delivering the bad news. He held his voice firm and steady as he spoke. It was drowned out in my head, but I knew he was doing his best to get the news across. It was like the whole world suddenly was spinning around me at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Then I broke. I couldn't hold it together anymore. I started rocking back and forth. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would leap out of my chest. I couldn't breathe, and it felt like someone was standing on my chest. I don't know if I started screaming or bawling first, but they had to give me a mild sedative to just calm me down. I don't actually remember much of anything until I had regained some slimmer of sanity. Up until I did, it felt like it could have been a bad dream or a delusion, like there was a chance that it wasn't real, but it was. The doctor went through it once more when I had calmed down. Then it really sunk in. The words etching themselves so deep within my mind that I don't think I will ever forget them. Mr. Johnson, the trauma that occurred during the crash induced a miscarriage. We couldn't save your daughter. It felt like a piece of me had been ripped from me. In reality, it really had been ripped away from me. From us. It was so unreal at first. Like, how could something like that even happen? It happened to other people, but it didn't happen to us. It wasn't fair. It wasn't supposed to be this way. Everything went so quick after that. After a week of observation, they let us go home. They gave us a fair few recommendations of psychiatrists that specialized in cases like these. It was like we were in a haze, or at least I was. The only clear thing I remember that night we came home was brushing my teeth, strangely enough. It felt so oddly normal, but strange at the same time. I don't think we actually talked about it that night, or for a while after that. Most nights we cried ourselves to sleep, huddled up together so tight I thought we would suffocate each other. We said we would be okay, but I don't think you can ever be okay in a relationship after something like that has happened. It either breaks it, or if you manage to work through it and it becomes stronger. I would lie if I say I didn't hope for the latter. We went to a couple of counseling sessions with a therapist that they had recommended. I could not get over the guilt that was eating me up from the inside, and she was isolating herself more for each passing day. We both felt like we were slipping into our own self-dug pits, and we didn't know how to get out of them. It's a strange thing when someone that you thought you would spend a large part of your life with just fades from that perfect future that you had framed in your head. That framed picture in your mind, suddenly not looking so perfect anymore, changing to something so alien. You don't feel the same warmth of their touch. The smile that they beam to assure you nothing is wrong is hiding something more grim. And at some point, there's just nothing left to salvage. No matter how many sessions we went to, or how much we talked about it, it was over. It was over, and all it took for us to lose all of what we were supposed to have was me falling asleep behind the wheel for a few moments. There are dreams that I have at times. In those dreams, I did not fall asleep for those few moments. I pull over to the side of the road to get some air, or I stop at a gas station for some coffee, and we make it home. We make it home safe, and things carry on like they were supposed to. The months fly by until our beautiful daughter is brought into this world, and everything is just perfect. You get to have a life, and we are a happy family. We get another child and get that fixer-upper house that every young couple yearns after. And we carve our piece of heaven out of life. And they're not super detailed dreams, but they are detailed enough to have me fooled for a little while, before I wake up to reality. The harsh one of what really happened. The one that does not contain the slice of heaven I had envisioned. And they make me unable to forget what I could have had, what could have been. I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive myself. I know putting all this blame on me is never going to take back what I lost. You were supposed to be alive, but I robbed you of the chance to live a life, and for us to be a loving family. Now all that is left of you is a headstone in the far corner of a graveyard. I'm really sorry. I love you, Elise. And I will never forget you.